So this section, we're going to have a look at application logistics. So how many companies you should apply to, how much it's going to cost you to apply to them, where they are, all sorts of different things. So the first one we're going to look at is how many companies to apply to. And there is no magic number for this. The key thing to do is to identify companies that you would like to work at, and essentially apply to as many of those as you have time to write individual applications for and would be willing to go to interview for. So don't do just one. That's kind of not a sensible thing to do, because you just don't know what's going to happen at that interview, and you might turn up at this company that looks wonderful on paper and on their website, turn up there and go, actually, I don't want to work here. But don't apply to 30, because you would have to then write 30 bespoke application forms, which all take time. You're probably not going to go to all of those interviews anyway. The likelihood is you'll get one within the first few interviews anyway, so you've essentially wasted that time. So pick a sensible number, but more importantly, identify a company where you would actually like to work. You also have to consider the costs for an application. Now, this isn't just as simple as have I got the money to pay for the train to get to where this job is. It's also kind of the time as well. So you need to make sure you've got the correct clothes for your interview. If you need to go out and buy a suit, can you do that? If you actually get this job and it's miles away from where you live, do you get a relocation package, or do you need one? Because quite often graduate schemes, they don't give a relocation package, and certainly not for shorter term employments like internships and summer placements. Can you afford to live where the job is based? So I grew up in Barnsley. Stuff's quite cheap up in Yorkshire. I now live down near Stevenage. It's a lot more expensive here. Is the job going to give you enough money to live how you want to live, where you need to live? And check the cost of the interview beforehand. So just because you've applied to Stevenage as an example, because there's a lot of space companies around Stevenage, the interview might not be in Stevenage. It might be at the Portsmouth branch. You know, it's not maybe can you easily get to where you're applying to, it's can you easily get to where the interview is. Not all of the interviews pay travel expenses either, so just make sure you know about this in advance. And it's not really worth wasting your time, so the cost of your time applying to a company that you are not interested in, not going to go to the interview for. So think about the costs of both financial and time for you in your applications. So for the application process, be prepared for it to be a multi-stage process. The larger the company, the more stages you're likely to have. You will have some kind of initial application form, CV and covering letter, some combination of those. You may have online tests, you may have phone screening interviews. You will have some kind of interview process. This might be an assessment day, which is made up of different types of interviews, technical interviews, competency-based, HR. You might also have other tasks to do, like presentations, group tasks. You might have a day in the life kind of interview. You might just have one interview. Company dependent, but just know what you're facing to do when you apply, and that you're happy to do these tasks. Don't waste your time doing an application for a large engineering company if there is no way you are going to go and do a group task, for example, because you will have to do one. We're going to have a look at these different processes in the application process in further videos. So we're going to discuss those in more detail later. It's also worth checking on the location. Is it somewhere you want to live? Is it somewhere where you have a local support network of people that you already know? This might not, you might not care about that, but it is maybe something that you want to consider. You might get your support network from the people you know in work outside of work, but again, that depends on the company. Does it have the kind of facilities that you want to use? Like, can you find, I don't know, the gym that you want to go, the sports club that you want to go to? Just check out the local area and make sure it's somewhere you're comfortable to go. Again, no right or wrong answer. It depends on you as an individual, what you prefer. So with a lot of these things, there's not a boilerplate answer. It's about for you to understand that you're applying to enough companies to guarantee getting a job, so more than one, but you're applying to companies that you want to work for, and you're not wasting your time doing a load of applications to stuff you're not going to do. Make sure you're happy with the financial outlay for interviewing and the time outlay for interviewing. Know that the application process can be long-winded, and be prepared for that and happy with that, or apply to a different company. And yeah, just consider the location of where you're applying to, and if that's somewhere where you're happy being for the next few years. Okay, so the next bit, we're actually going to look at the technical requirements for different jobs. I'll see you there when you're ready.